Good evening. I hope you're having a wonderful Labor Day. The most common words to open a song in the English language are "as I rode out," but the close second is "come all ye." In a "come all ye," you name the people you want to listen to you, you apologize for taking up their time, and you tell them how much of their time you're going to take up. So this will be a mostly non-musical "come all ye." I want to speak to those of you who understand that American capitalism is falling apart and we've got to do something else. How much of your time am I going to take up? I'm imagining this stream will go for about an hour, and then you can get back to the picnic because, that's what Labor Day is all about, isn't it? No, it isn't, of course. In 1881, P.J. McGuire, who was the General Secretary of the Carpenters and Joiners Union of New York City. Now, if you're Irish or Catholic, you know that PJ stands for Patrick James, and in this case, it certainly does. Mr. McGuire traveled to Ottawa to see the Labor Day celebration that had been going on there for quite some time at that point, and he thought it was wonderful. He thought it was just great. And when he got back to New York City, he went to the Central Labor Union, what today in America we would call the Central Labor Council, and he proposed that they do the same thing in New York City. Now, this sounded like a wonderful idea to Matthew McGuire. No relation to Peter. In that fact, their ancestors didn't even come from the same county in Ireland. Matthew was the secretary of the Central Labor Union, and he sent out invitations to every local that was a member of the Central Labor Union. And that included not only those in New York City, but those in Connecticut and New Jersey. And in 1882, 30,000 workers had a celebration followed by a picnic. And that was America's first Labor Day. 4 years later, flush with being able to actually take a day off work and not get fired for it, the American Federation of Labor and the Knights of Labor decided to hold a strike for the 8-hour day. Now, there was a fellow named P.J. McGuire. How do I know that? Yes, it was the same guy. He was now a national staffer for the American Federation of Labor. And when they were discussing what day to hold the strike, he suggested May 1st because in Ireland, Britain, Germany, Scandinavian countries, May Day was a big celebration to begin with. And you might as well start a strike on a day that a lot of people aren't going to go to work anyway. So McGuire is both one of the two fathers of Labor Day and one of the fathers of May Day. Ironic. And on May 1st, 1886, workers went on strike all over the Northeast and Midwest of the United States. 2 workers were shot by the police at the McCormick Reaper plant on May 2nd, and on May 4th, a large demonstration was held to commemorate these 2 workers who had fallen. And as the demonstration was winding up, the police attacked the strikers. Someone tossed a bomb into the midst of the police, killing 1 police officer, and I believe it was 6 others who were killed by friendly fire. They shot each other, along with shooting a whole bunch of workers. Well, somebody needed to pay for this. So they picked 8 anarchists, trade unionists, socialists, and they were tried, even though 4 of them weren't there. And the other 4 could clearly be seen by the crowd. They had nothing to do with the bombing. Didn't matter. All but 1 was sentenced to hang 4 did. 1 cheated the hangman and committed suicide. And 3 were later pardoned. So, along comes 1894. And the workers who service the railroads, the American Railway Union, goes on strike against the Pullman Company. And they decide they're not going to handle any trains that have Pullman cars on them. The leader of the American Railway Union was a fellow named Eugene Victor Debs. He'll come up later. And even though he didn't think the strike was a good idea, he went along with the majority, and when they struck, he was an able strike leader. The president, Grover Cleveland, sent in federal troops to crush the strike because the trains not getting through was slowing down the mail. Sure, right. And so Cleveland was not well liked by most of the Unionists in the country. To try to save his political fortunes, he signed a piece of legislation that made the first Monday in September Labor Day in the United States, and it has stayed Labor Day. And the Canadians have moved their celebration to it's on the same first Monday in September. Meanwhile, the Second Working Men's Sick International decided to make May 1st International Workers' Day in honor of the brave comrades who were hanged for the Haymarket affair. So we've got dueling Labor Days. Now, there's always been a argument on the left. Which should we celebrate? The government-sanctioned holiday or the real Workers' Day? Guess what? I have a modest suggestion. Let's do both. The United States has 2 days in which we celebrate veterans. Considering how many wars the United States has been in, that's probably appropriate. We've got Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And July 4th has become pretty much a militaristic holiday. How about 2 holidays that celebrate the working class? You know, the people who do everything. I have a further suggestion that those of us on the left should start calling North American Labor Day Labor Creates All Wealth Day. And if you think I'm wrong, dig yourself a hole. Just go someplace and decide that you're going to dig a 2-foot by 2-foot hole. You can do it with your fingernails. You'll be there forever. You can get a stick. That's a little faster. You can get a shovel. That's a lot faster. You can get a backhoe, and you'll be done in about 30 seconds. But labor went into all of those things. And even if we get to the point where artificial intelligence creates robots that go and dig the holes, somebody will have to create the artificial intelligence, program the computer, and decide that the robot should be digging that hole. Labor creates our wealth. You can't do anything without human labor. So do most of the profits from business go to labor? No, not at all. They go to the people that own the company. It's called surplus value. Meaning if you make, in the course of an hour, you make, let's say, $2 in profit for the company, you get to keep 5 cents of it, and the people that own the company keep the rest. That's flat out theft. So what's the alternative? Well, it's generally been called socialism. I know that can be a scary word. The best definition I've ever heard of socialism was Eugene Victor Debs. You remember him from the railroad strike. He became the perennial candidate of the Socialist Party for president, and when someone asked him, Gene, what's socialism? He said, it's Christianity in action. Yeah. You don't have to be a Christian or particularly religious Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When I was hungry, you gave me to eat. And of course, chapter 2, verse 20, I believe, of the Acts of the Apostles. And the believers were together, and no one said that they owned anything, but anyone who had any property sold it and laid it at the feet of the apostles for distribution to each according to their need. Karl Marx very unapologetically borrowed that from each according to his ability, again, sick, to each according to his need. Now, people have a very peculiar idea of what socialism is. Oh, that's what they had in Russia. No. It's not what they have in China. It's not what they have in any of those countries. Those countries are state capitalist. They may use the rhetoric of socialism, but they're not socialistic. It's often been said that Vladimir Lenin, the leader of the Bolsheviks, was Frederick Taylor's greatest disciple. Frederick Taylor was the efficiency expert for Andrew Carnegie at the Carnegie Steelworks. And he wrote a great deal. And Lenin read it all because he wanted to industrialize the Soviet Union as quickly as possible. It's often been said that an American leftist can be categorized by when she or he thinks the Russian Revolution went wrong. I think it went wrong when, in October, Lenin and his gang of cutthroats stole the revolution of March 8th, which was primarily led by women, because they couldn't wait till April to the constituent elections. Yes, I know the war was going on. I know Russians were dying, and encouraging Russian troops to desert would have been a very good thing. Seizing the country by force wasn't so good, and it didn't work out so well. Of course, having 17 foreign armies, including the Army of the United States of America, invade you made things pretty difficult. Yes, the United States did invade Russia and kept troops there for more than 2 years. Who interfered with whose election again? Okay, that brings us to the Socialist Party of America. Why revive another alphabet soup organization? Don't we have enough socialist parties? There must be 20 of them. Probably are 20. And what are they doing? Oh, they're holding theoretical readings, and I happen to very much enjoy that stuff. I used to teach those things for a living, but that's not going to bring in a lot of members. Or to be like the Democratic Socialists of America, of which I'm a member and was a delegate to the last convention, and back various Democrats and hope that that will change society. Hasn't yet, as you may have noticed. So I just don't see that as a possibility, let alone a strategy. I'm not big on electoralism. I think Emma Goldman was right. If voting changed anything, it would be illegal. So what is to be done? As Lenin once said, I'm told he stole that name from a very long, boring Russian novel. I know what you're thinking. Are there any other kind? I don't know. I majored in economics, not international literature. So I don't know what is to be done. I have an idea of what it is we can do. We need to shut capitalism down. As Chris Hedges often says, we've got to be like Extinction Rebellion and just do nonviolent civil disobedience. Block the doors to these corporations. Climate scientists now admit that they were wrong. They said that the problems that we are having now, the fires in the West, the floods in the East. They said these things would take 10 years. Well, they didn't. They took 2. And things continue to get worse. And in 10 years, large portions of the planet will be uninhabitable. They'll be just too hot and too dry. And if you think hundreds of thousands of refugees are causing problems, imagine when it's millions. We also have the problem of the fact that we have these weapons that, if they're ever used, could simply end humankind, could end life as we know it in the galaxy. And while I would love to be a nice, calm social democrat, and so yes, I mean, you got to do baby steps before you can walk or run, and I'd love to do that. We don't have time. We don't. We just don't have it. We have about 10 years to change things. Now, do I think things are going to change while there's a Democrat in the White House? Not so much. Do you notice that this summer Black lives seem to matter a whole lot less than they did last summer? Well, that's because there were large Democratic donors who were willing to give to the BLM movement when a Republican was in the White House. And the same thing has happened to the peace movement and all of that. We can't rely on that kind of change. We need to institute what Hal Draper called socialism from below. Small groups of socialists getting together with like-minded people, like peace advocates, environmentalists, etc., and shutting some portion of the pollution, the polluters, and the government down completely, making it impossible for them to function. Now that can happen. That can be done. We saw it done in the 1960s. But it's not going to happen by wanting it to happen. It's going to happen because we develop the resolve to do it. And then we do it. I'm not against running candidates for office. Great time to wave the red flag. I don't care how many people we elect to the United States Congress. It's not going to be a majority. And the ones that are there, excuse me. It's rather warm here. I sweat in my eye. The people that we do elect will be co-opted. Billions of dollars go through our political institutions. Most people can't turn that down. And most politicians don't want to. The Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, is worth $80 million in her own right, and her husband is richer. And so you got people here, so we got to be progressive, and you got people over there saying, we'll give you millions of dollars. We know who she's been listening to, and it's not our side. And it never will be our side. We need to run our own candidates openly on our own ballot line, starting out with the smallest of offices. I was elected assessor of a nearby township, running as a socialist. I had to leave the job when I moved out of the district. The idea that, let's elect Bernie Sanders president and he will have a solidly capitalist Senate and House. That's what the president can do by executive order, but he can't institute socialism, or she. Socialism from below. Also, we need to be what used to be called a third camp socialist organization. Third camp in that we weren't in either the first camp, the capitalist camp, or the second camp, the communist camp. I know they weren't really communists, but they were feuding. Well, obviously the Soviet Union has fallen apart. One down, two to go, as far as I'm concerned. My comrade, Margot Schulter, has come up with a wonderful slogan. Neither Yankee nor tanky. We don't support the American constant wars. Nor do we support the idea that everybody who isn't an American is doing good things. Not every Islamic republic or every state with socialist or communist in their name is doing good things. But that's none of our business as Americans. The American military should defend America and Americans and very little else. Yeah, if an embassy is under siege, you send in the Marines to get the embassy personnel out. There's no need to nation build. Let the other people on the planet be adults. And I know that there are an awful lot of people who say, well, that family that was hit by the cruise missile in Kabul the other day, I bet they were glad that they were hit by a Democratic cruise missile and not a Republican one. I don't think so. I'll be honest with you, I don't think so. Nobody ever counts a member of their family or one of their friends as collateral damage. Hey, I haven't seen your daughter Fatima or your Uncle Yosef lately. What happened to them? Oh, they were collateral damage. Nobody says that. They say they were murdered by the Americans. Well, this country is going so well, we're going to export our system to other people? Nobody wants it. We're 34th in nations in livability. We're the only industrialized nation in the world that doesn't have national health care. We're somewhere around 37th in life expectancy, 37th in maternal mortality, 38th or 39th in infant mortality. The United States is, let's be honest, yes, this is a shithole. Because the politicians that we have are all bought off by Wall Street. And they always will be. Just the way it is. I also want to give a shout out to my longtime comrade and friend, Willie Bragg, his screen name. He has a channel called American Social Democracy. Years ago now, he posted on Facebook that he wanted to belong to the 1956 Socialist Party before the Independent Socialist League dissolved itself and moved into the Socialist Party, which created all kinds of squabbles. Within 4 years, the leader of the Independent Socialist League, Max Shachtman, was arguing for the Bay of Pigs invasion. I kid you not. Yeah, I understand going where the workers are, working in the trade unions as they already exist. I don't understand adopting the absolute retrograde of the AFL-CIO's foreign policy under George Meany and Lane Kirkland. It makes no sense whatsoever. So I'm going to blame all of this on Willie, and you feel free to go and harass him. Lord knows I do. So what's the Socialist Party doing? Founding itself. Right now we've got 7 dues-paying members, but then there was a time when the what became the Bolshevik section of the Russian Social Democratic Party had 5 members. So you can grow. Now you understand where we're coming from socialism from below, third camp. We don't support American militarism, and we don't support tin horn dictators. I want the United States to get the hell out of Syria. That doesn't mean I think Bashar Assad is a nice guy. He's a terrible tyrant. Well, I'm not seeing anything in the comments, so I think that's going to be it, except we can't end tonight, of course, without singing that song. And as Utah Phillips used to say, if I were to make book on what the last song was going to be, I wouldn't make very much money. The ultimate Labor Day song. This was part of my job. I sang this at the end of every labor convention in Michigan for several years. So hope I still remember it. I think I do. Hey, it's still in tune. That's unusual. When the Union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there will be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. What force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? But our union makes us strong. Everybody at home, sing along. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For our union makes us strong. Is there aught we hold in common with the greedy parasite who would lash us into serfdom, would crush us with his might? No, there's nothing left for us but to organize and fight while our union makes us strong. Everybody sing solidarity forever, solidarity forever. Solidarity forever, our union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where they trade, dug the mines and built the workshops, endless miles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving, miss the wonders we have made, but our union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never toiled to earn. Without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, when our union makes us strong. Last time, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Yes, our union makes us strong. Happy Labor Creates All Wealth Day, and we'll see you again soon.